a lot of parents think that it's too early. 5 to 7 is too early, but actually, if you look at that age group, right? I mean, it's very important. This is where you've already laid the foundations of the money sense for them, and now they are a bit more inquisitive to know a little bit more. This is a very interesting age, where 10 to 12 they've started reading quite a bit as well. You can have amazing conversations with them at this age. Your teaching methodology has to change.
When parents talk about life skills, the list usually sounds very familiar, right? Communication, confidence, discipline, empathy, resilience, all these very powerful words. But there's one more really, really powerful word which often gets pushed to very late, and that is financial literacy. Welcome to Inspired Circles, a series where I bring you conversations with inspiring people. I'm joined by Pankaj Arjunwadkar, author of Money Sense for Young Minds. Most parents spend years helping their children score better marks. Very few spend the same energy teaching children how money actually works. And the cost of that gap is usually paid much later. We feel it when young adults grow up intelligent but financially unsure. We feel it when earning begins but clarity does not. We feel it when children know how to consume but not know how to choose. If I could go back and teach my younger self one life skill earlier, it would be money sense. Not because money is everything, it's not, but because money touches almost everything: choices, confidence, independence, discipline, patience, and peace of mind. Powerful words, right? Welcome to Inspired Circles, a series where I bring you conversations with inspiring people from my network who are solving meaningful problems and helping us think better. The goal of Inspired Circles is to stay curious, learn from people around us, and turn those insights into action. Today's conversation is deeply personal for me because I genuinely wish I had become more financially literate as a child. It would have reduced confusion, improved decision making, and probably saved me from learning a few lessons the hard way. And that's why I'm really, really excited about today's guest. I'm joined by Pankaj Arjunwadkar, author of Money Sense for Young Minds, a book that takes financial literacy and breaks it down in a very practical way, age wise, that is genuinely usable for parents. Pankaj is a chartered accountant with over 25 years of experience in finance and accounting across global organizations. He's deeply passionate about empowering young adults with practical financial knowledge, believing that understanding money is a life skill that every child should learn early. So, if you are a parent of a child between 5 and 16, I would really encourage you to stay with us till the end of this episode because this conversation is only designed to become more practical as it moves forward. We are going to break this down age by age. And by the end of this episode, I'm very confident that you will walk away with ideas that you can start using at home almost immediately. Pankaj, welcome to Inspired Circles. It's wonderful to have you here, my friend.
Thank you, Abhishek. Pleasure. Absolutely.
Superb. Pankaj, I want to begin with the big why before we go age by age, because I think that mindset shift is where this conversation really starts. So, Pankaj, when parents talk about life skills, the list usually sounds very familiar, right? Communication, confidence, discipline, empathy, resilience, all these very powerful words. But there's one more really, really powerful word which often gets pushed to very late, and that is financial literacy. And sometimes it gets pushed too late. So let me ask you very directly, why should money sense be treated as a formative skill and not as a topic that is to be postponed until adulthood?
Great start to the conversation, Abhishek. And actually, you picked up some of my words. So maybe what I can do is, before getting into that important topic of money sense, I would probably look at five top skills that parents must teach their children in their formative years, right? And
Okay.
probably a few you have already picked up, right? Number
Yeah.
one would be the critical thinking and problem solving, right? And parents
Right.
have their own ways to test kids on this. Number
Mm-hmm.
two is communication skills. So a lot of parents are very keen on communication skills. There are these mock United Nation assemblies. There are elocution and debate competitions. So there's a lot of exposure there as well, right?
Mm.
Number three would be, as parents, I would look at definitely at as responsibility and independence. I would like the kids to take responsibilities on certain things. I would
Mm-hmm.
like them to be independent on a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Number four would be self discipline, right? So, how do they actually monitor their own progress and they move towards achieving their goals? That's something which they would like to inculcate very early in their formative years.
Mm-hmm.
Number five, of course, would be empathy and kindness, respect for the others. And if you look at some that all these five key skills, they somehow come through the values, the family values, and the culture, right? So these
Correct.
are probably taken care of through lessons from grandparents, parents, so on and so forth. And then
Yeah.
there's a sixth one, and that is something which probably a lot of families do not really look at it as if it's a mandatory skill set, and that is money sense, right? And that's the financial literacy that we talk about. Now,
Correct.
to your question, it's a very important question. Why should this particular topic be discussed very early, in the formative years itself, right?
Mm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
I have come up with a principle called as VERT principle. Okay, you
Okay.
can something which I have coined, as a part of
Okay.
this, right? Now, VERT is basically financial literacy objective, which is for the kids to understand value, effort, responsibility, and trade off, right? So these
Yeah.
would be the top four reasons why financial literacy is important. And as we discuss, as we double click on each of the topics today, we will get into these principles. So VERT would be important, right?
Yeah.
Now, uh, but the answer to your question actually is very simple, right?
Yeah.
I would look at it in a very different way. So, if you do not teach your children about financial literacy, they will
Yeah.
learn it. They will learn it from somewhere else, their own way, right?
Correct.
And they learn it from someone who would not be the best benchmark, right? that
Yeah.
that someone would can be from a very different financial background, and once they learn it from the wrong way, it is very difficult to unlearn some of these skills, especially in the formative years. It is very
Correct.
similar to sex education, right? So if you
Correct.
don't make an effort to teach your children about it, they will learn it from the other ways, which probably not be the best, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you a story, and probably it's an illustration which will resonate well with a lot of parents, right?
Okay.
So here's a story. So we've got a family of four, and both the parents are salaried. They are they're in a metro. They've got two kids. So this is what happens when they are early, say 5, 6, 7 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a child asks them for certain things, and the parents are very happy to provide, because
Yeah.
we are why are we earning it? It's for the kids. So they
Yeah.
get the best of toys, best of video games. They go to a crossword and they pick up a book and they say, "Wow, it's a great thing. They should learn." So what tends to happen is they get used to this, right? And when
Correct.
they turn 8, 9, 10, this becomes more like a right and not a privilege, right?
Correct. Correct.
So anything they ask, it's there's a cuteness factor in what they are asking, right? So you're very
Correct.
happy to fulfill all their demands. And once they
Correct.
get into say 10, 11, 12, they are habituated to this, right? And at
Correct.
that age, your parents would like to give the best because they are earning
Correct.
it or something, right?
Correct.
But the, the it starts becoming a problem when once the kids enter the teenage, right?
Okay.
Now, this is when the conversations really start, and
Hmm.
that's when the parents realize that, hey, uh, he's now getting into those teenage tantrums, right?
Yep.
Now the cuteness factor has now turned into a teenage tantrum. Okay.
Yep.
And the child is confused because for all these years the parents never really questioned why certain things, why I was asking these particular things, and they never said no to me. And now
Yep.
suddenly, I just asked for an iPhone 16 when my friend has an iPhone 17, and yet they are not giving me, right. So what's
Yeah.
the, right? So that teenage, the cuteness is now become a teenage tantrum. And then
Yeah.
parents, probably you would have probably heard, हमको समझ में भी नहीं आया कि हमारा टीनेज कब आया कब गया और इनको देखो, right? So these
Correct.
are very,
Correct.
very common kind of family talks now, and teenage has become a kind of a problem for them. Now,
Correct.
you tell me whose problem is it, right? And whose mistake is it, right?
Hmm.
Is it the child who has been habituated to receive things,
Yeah.
or it's the parents who are now in an absolute confused state? And that's where the divide between the two generations really starts, because
Yeah.
now there is an environment of rebellion
Yeah.
in the house. So
Yeah.
that's why it's important to have a very structured kind of an approach for
Yeah.
for financial literacy. So I hope that
Yeah.
answers your first question, Abhishek.
Very powerful example, Pankaj. And I'm sure that this example will resonate with a lot of people who are watching this. And as you rightly pointed out, if they if they will learn this, right? But they will learn it from someone else. And once that benchmark is set, then especially in the formative years, and it is actually very very difficult to correct this. And
Absolutely.
and if you are a viewer who's watching this, and I'm sure you must be finding this example and this conversation already very relevant, so do consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps Inspired Circles, uh, the conversations reach more thoughtful parents and families. And so, Pankaj, yeah, absolutely. The you were, I mean, it was very sharp, very relevant, and I totally understand why this topic becomes so important. So the real lesson is not just spending or saving. It is how to think, it is how to choose, and how to behave.
Absolutely.
So, with this, Pankaj, let us break this down the way parents can actually use this, right? Age by age, or rather, stage by stage.
Sure.
So, what we can do is we can actually start with the 5 to 7 age group, Pankaj.
Do that. Yeah.
So, which is actually the ripe age where these conversations can begin between
Ideally.
parents and children.
Yeah.
And so let's start with the 5 to 7 age group. So
Okay.
Pankaj, uh, at this stage, children may really not understand finance, but they understand desire. They understand, comparison. Say, it happens with my twins also, that our friends have this, we don't have this. Uh, they understand fairness. And I truly believe that this is where money sense really begins, and not with technical knowledge, but with foundation thinking, right? So, what are
Absolutely.
the most important concepts parents should begin with at this age, Pankaj?
Sure. See, I think a lot of parents think that, it's too early, 5 to 7 is too early to even talk about money. Why should we really bother our kids about giving them some say view of the financial aspects of their family? But
Yeah.
actually, if you look at that age group, right, I mean, it's very important that the child should understand the ecosystem of your house, right? And that
Yeah.
includes your financial position as well, right? Now,
Yeah.
at this age, the child is very observant, right? And
Mhm.
the child is able to pick up a lot of things which you think are, the child is not able to understand, right?
True.
So
True.
and that's why you should have a good conversation with the kid at this age itself, right? And
Hmm.
start off with something very basic, as and this need not be a kind of a session where, hey, let me talk about money. No, it has to be very casual in terms of the conversation. It has to come out seamlessly in terms of what you're telling the kid. So
Hmm.
the first one, and it is very relevant, it's a very classic economic problem, where resources are limited, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the child should know from where the money comes home, right? So it might be
Correct.
mama and papa are working, they work for 8 hours, and that's why they get a salary. And if that job is not there, if they sit at home, probably they will not get the money and will not be able to afford the good food, the entertainment, so on and so forth, right? So that's
Correct.
that's that's something which has to be communicated very well, right? So
Correct.
in our days, I remember, what does your father do? That would be a question, and we would say,
Yeah.
okay, he's working here and there, and that's how we know that it's a salaried kind of a household that we have. And
Yeah.
you might have a business household, or any other.
Yeah.
Secondly, allied to that should be the want side. So wants are
Yeah.
unlimited, right? So there's so many things that we want.
Correct.
You want toy A, B, C, D. You also want the best of stationery, the best of books, but we can afford only these many because our resources are limited, right?
Correct.
And that's where the economic response comes, where which is choices matter, right? So you might either have A or B, but you cannot have both, right? So this
Correct.
this, this is very basic for 5 to 7 year old, right? So even in, say, you're having dinner, right? And there are two desserts available, and then you say,
Yeah.
okay, choose one. So that choice is very important, not because you cannot afford it, but it's important that you communicate to the child that, yes, this is they are the three top things: resources are limited,
Correct.
wants are unlimited, and choices really matter. And
Correct.
then number four is, where does money come from? This is very,
Yeah.
again, very important. As I mentioned, it might be coming through, say, rental income. It can be coming through salaries, or other things that you're going to expose, right?
Yeah.
And then this is something which I was very particular in explaining to my kids. So by the way, I've got two kids. My elder one is 20, and the younger one is 13. So I started,
Great.
I had two phases of the financial literacy that I had to
Yeah.
teach my
Yeah.
kids. So the
Correct.
concept of premium is very important. This is, I can give an
Yeah.
example. So I live in Japan, in Tokyo, and in Tokyo we have, say, if I have to take my son for a haircut, I can
Yeah.
either go to a QB house. So it's actually
Okay.
a place where it's a 10-minute quick haircut. It's pretty
Yeah.
decent, but it's a very quick haircut. You have to stand in the queue, take a ticket, insert the coins, and you're able to get your haircut. When your turn comes, right? So it's a quick 10-minute haircut, all done. Pretty decent,
Yeah.
not bad. We
Yeah.
also have the hair saloons, where, for men, where you
Hmm.
can get a premium haircut for 6,000 yen, which is
Okay.
pretty big amount. And
Wow.
but you can get a shampoo. You can
Hmm.
also get some hair tonic done, and they'll take good care of you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I took my son to, when he was probably 6 or 7, I took my son to both places, right?
Okay.
And the reason why I took my son there was I wanted him to understand the concept of premium. Okay, so why
Mm.
do we pay higher to the at a saloon versus the QB house, right? Is it
Mm.
because of speed, or it's the experience, or the convenience, or the comfort? So with this example, we were able to bring that kind of concept to the child, that yes, you can get the same food, in India. If when we go on a holiday, you can get a pav bhaji at a, as a part of a street food, and you can also get it in a five-star hotel, which is at a premium.
Yeah.
So why is
Yeah.
it a premium, right? So that
Yeah.
concept at that age is very important, right? And that's where children will start learning the value of certain goods and services. So that would be my say initial say recommendation for parents to begin money sense at the age of 5 to 7.
Yeah.
And there's a very interesting car game, and this is something which we do, which we did
Yeah.
very
I was going to
diligently.
come to that. Yeah.
Right. So Abhishek, what we would do is, of course, we never had sessions where, hey, let me talk about money, right? So what we would do is, when we would go for picnics or long drives, right? We would typically engage in conversations relating to money, right? And they
Yeah.
were free to ask any questions, but we had to trigger the topic, right? So if we
Yeah.
are say, driving around, how do people earn money, right? So I would probably point out at, say, a shop where I can say, hey, the way they earn money is through profits, right? Then there might
Yeah.
be a worker, maybe a gardener working. I would say he gets wages, right? The blue collared
Yeah.
and the white collared, the concept is important. So salaries, it
Yeah.
might come to rent, interest, subscription models, royalty.
Yeah.
For example, when I wrote this book, I had to explain my kids how I'll be earning whatever money I'm going to get out of this. That's the royalty for every book sold. So that's
Correct.
how they are able to understand how money can be earned. It can come through commissions, it can also come through donations or gifts. But that
Yeah.
concept of how money comes in at a very early age needs to be told to the kids, because
Yeah.
and that's how they will get an interest in understanding how money is earned in our household, and how is
Yeah.
the other friend, he is able to afford expensive stuff, and what is the income that his or her parents are generating. So it's a
Yeah.
good start, 5 to 7, Abhishek.
Yeah. Amazing, Pankaj. I love the concept of premium that you spoke about, and I am definitely going to use it the next time I go out somewhere with
It's
my
very
kids.
powerful. Yeah, yeah.
It's very powerful, and thank you for bringing this out. Thank you for enlightening us on that particular point. I loved all the points over there. Uh, how choices also matter. Absolutely right. And I love this car game, Pankaj. Most of us, when we sit when we sit and when we are stuck in traffic, especially in a place like Bombay, we just sit and curse about it, right? But can
Or
we
we are
turn
on
that
our
negative?
mobile phone, or we are on the mobile phones. All four,
Exactly,
the family of four, they are all on their individual phones. Yeah.
exactly. Or we are on our phones. Absolutely right. But so the next time any of you watching this, next time if you're sitting in a car or any public transport, right? uh, you know Turn that into a nice playful lesson with kids. This story that or this example that Pankaj has given is so relevant and so powerful that it just goes to show that one small situation that we are in, just sitting in a car, we can explain children, especially in this 5 to 7 age bracket, right, so much
True.
about the concepts of money. And this is brilliant, Pankaj. I'm just loving this conversation so far, to be very honest with you. And it's been amazing. So in this first stage, Pankaj, so you spoke about choices, you spoke about the concept of premium, and you spoke to us about the car game, and I'm sure a lot of viewers who are going to watch this will definitely use this in their conversations going forward. Let us now move to the next stage, that is the 7 to 10 age group, where you know, children as well as adults can start planning this whole concept
Yeah,
more consciously. So
absolutely.
let's move to the 7 to 10 age group, Pankaj, and
Sure.
yeah, let's go. How do we approach this?
Absolutely. So here is where you've already laid the foundations of
Yeah,
the money sense for them, and now they are a bit more inquisitive to know a little bit more, right? And this is where you have to bring in the concepts of needs versus wants, right?
yeah,
So needs are, of course, things that that are must-haves, right? That would make your life safe and also healthy, and wants are something which make your life more comfortable and fun, right? So the concept of
yeah,
needs versus wants needs to be very, very well explained, right? So for example, having shoes is a need, right? But those expensive luxury sneakers are a want, right? So similarly,
yeah,
your mobile phones come in different range, and at that particular age your purpose is to just stay connected with your family without having a lot of screen time, so you don't need the expensive iPhones, for example, right? So it's very
yeah.
important that you explain the concept of needs and wants, right? The second concept here is would be expenses, savings, and investments, right?
Yeah.
So, what is an expense and what is an investment? That's another very important element,
Mm.
right? So,
Hmm.
it's okay to start talking about your own family expenses, savings, investments. In fact, I would. In fact, this was an exercise that they had in the school, where they
Okay.
had to collate information from their parents on how much do they spend on rent and your
Wow.
milk, groceries, so on and so forth. So I think between that age, they had prepared an Excel sheet, right? So
Okay.
that's very important. So
Hmm.
they should know that, okay, we know the income is, you may probably not reveal your exact income, but you can just tell them that relatively this is our income, and we spend X amount for, say, rent or your EMIs and your expenses. There would be certain long-term expenses that maybe for example an insurance, and I'm going to talk about that. You should
Yeah.
provide for emergencies. You might have some medical expenses, so give a
Yeah.
breakup of all the costs, right? It's very
Hmm.
important that they understand, right?
Correct.
And at the end you must also tell, okay, here is something which I'm saving for your future, right? So they also
Hmm.
have that in the back of their mind, right?
Yeah.
The third
Yeah.
concept, I think, is about taxes. So they would probably
Hmm.
hear from us, I'm paying so much of taxes. The normal conversations about taxation. It's
Yeah.
important to explain them the concept of direct and indirect taxes, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
every everything that you buy, it has a GST, for example, right? So why is
Yeah.
that GST? What's that extra amount you're paying on the service
Yeah.
or on the goods that you're buying, right?
Yeah.
Again, you're able to you have to pay your taxes on, say, your salary, which is deducted at source. So you have to
Yeah.
explain that, if you're eating an ice cream, if you buy an ice cream, around 30% of that ice cream has to be given back to the to the government for certain things,
Correct.
and then they will ask, hey,
Correct.
what does the government do with the money? So then you can say the
Correct.
road infrastructure, the electricity, all that is built out of the taxes. So that's
Correct.
where you need to pay taxes. So explain the good behavior of paying taxes. And again, avoid talking, say, hey, I avoided taxes by doing this, doing that, and
Yes.
I
Yes.
have seen parents where, for example, they are on a road, they cross the toll without paying the toll, and then they are saying, yes, I saved it, that
Yes.
thing
Yes. Yes.
remains, and that will be with them for long. So
Yes.
I would, especially when they are around, try to avoid, all the jugars that you normally do. So there's few things
Yes.
the kids really
Yes.
pick up, and it remains with
Yeah.
them, and they'll hit on you
Mm.
at the right time. So be
Yes.
careful there. The other
Yes.
one would be budgeting and family money management, and that's something
Yes.
which every family does. I mean, they might probably not formally do it. A lot of families don't do it formally. Maybe
Yeah.
the earners, maybe the husband or the wife, they have their own way of working the budgeting. But a lot of
Yes.
families, unfortunately, do not do a formal planning budgeting on, say, a paper on an Excel sheet, right?
Yes.
And I would highly recommend you all to do that exercise with your kids, maybe on a weekend. You have to
Yes.
tell them that, okay, this is the annual income, these are the other sources of income that we have during the year.
Yes.
Then these are the expenses we might need to provide for 2 holidays. There might be some occasions where we may need to buy gifts for the others. There might
Yes.
be medical, the medical insurance, life insurance, so on and so
Yes.
forth. So it's important you break that up and explain to them that this is how money comes and money goes. That's budgeting for me.
Yes. Yes.
At the age of 7 to 10, I would definitely plug in elements of digital money, right? So
Yes.
see, I mean, in our times, I remember we would get cash and we would spend in cash, right? So
Correct.
the money was exchanging hands very well. So we knew that,
Correct.
okay, if
Correct.
it's a 50 rupee note, even a 10 rupee note was like, wow, I have a 10 rupee note. So there was a wow factor
Yes.
in
Yes.
handling money, right? But
Correct.
that
Correct.
aspect is now gone, right? So because of
Mm.
the digital money, they don't know the value. They have to just use a QR code and the money goes in, and they don't even realize the value.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
would highly recommend teach them digital money. But
Yes.
if you will have a question to me about whether they should get a pocket money, I would say, yeah, they might get a pocket.
Yeah.
They can get a pocket money, but it has to be in cash, because they
Correct.
have to learn to handle cash in some way or the other.
Correct.
Yeah. So that
Correct.
is
Correct.
that is 7 to 10 for me.
Correct. Correct. Very well put, Pankaj. And if I may add a point here about what I do with my twins, right? So what
Hmm.
we have started doing is that
Hmm.
uh, like occasionally on a Friday, we
Yeah.
prepare a list of items, grocery items that we want to purchase.
Perfect.
I take them to the nearest DMart, and we purchase those items. Like, it's a very beautiful experience, a very beautiful sensorial experience for them. And I will
Sure.
highly recommend parents to do this as well. It has really been very useful for me. So a small act of preparing a grocery list, checking what is available, what is not available, the budgeting part that you very briefly that you touched upon, right? So
Yeah.
and taking them to the supermarket, ensuring that we only take what we have written as a part of the list, we don't take anything else, and going to the cash counter and making that payment, seeing how goods are sold, right? So this actually has really helped me, and this is something that I wanted to add. And very, very, very well put, especially the budgeting part. I think it becomes really, really important, and definitely should be an exercise in every family. But one
Yeah.
example I found uh, one example I found very practical is planning the holiday with children, right?
Yes, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's brilliant because the thought of going for a holiday is exciting enough to hold their attention, and it is
Yeah.
also just about structured enough to teach them about budgeting and trade-offs. So can you just
Absolutely.
walk us through about how a parent can turn a holiday planning into a money lesson without making it feel very heavy?
Absolutely. And that's something which, my kids absolutely enjoyed, in terms of, planning a holiday, for example, right? So, especially if you've got two kids, it becomes more like a team kind of a game for them. So any holiday we would go would be
Yeah.
planned by the kids. So I would probably give them,
Okay.
say, okay, we have a budget, so this is the budget, and they will have to come up with ideas as to where to go, how to go, what would
Superb.
be the budget, and then from where to get the ticket. So they would go to Expedia and all those
Wonderful.
booking.com. So they would compare,
Superb.
and that's where the practical examples of premium would also come. I'll give you a
Exactly.
very
Correct.
interesting example. So
Okay.
we were we were going to go to Bangkok, okay, and
Okay.
we also wanted to go to Chiang Mai. So Chiang Mai is the no is a little far from Bangkok, but the
Okay.
concept was very clear. So in Bangkok, we'll have to do a lot of sightseeing, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to be out of the hotel almost the entire day. So
Yeah.
a standard hotel would be okay because we just want to
Yeah.
have bed and breakfast and we are gone, right? But in
Correct.
Chiang Mai was a place where a nice resort would probably be more it would be an experience, right? So
Got
they
it.
went to that, and of course they were given a budget, and then there would be some internal flights as well. They would look at,
Okay.
okay, what time the cheapest flights are are being displayed on, say, booking.com or whatever. And then
Okay.
if they are able to ultimately save a little at the end, that would be
Yeah.
their incentive, right? So
Yeah.
that incentive was actually they would then think twice before even making any kind of an expense. For example,
Yeah.
in Bangkok the public transport is pretty good, right? For example, even
Okay.
even in Japan where we live, the public transport is
Okay.
very good, right? So
Okay.
you can, if you walk for a few minutes, you can actually pick up the metro and then reach your destination versus taking a
Okay.
taxi, right?
Okay.
So the
Okay.
taxi would be, say, 5 6 times, or the public transport. So that is when
Okay.
some of these budgeting exercises really helped.
Okay.
Whenever we
Okay.
would be tired, of course we had no choice, but we would take the taxi. But
Yeah.
it helped inculcate a discipline in their spending, which I think is a
Okay.
great
Correct.
exercise. And
Absolutely.
if you look at this entire exercise, it's very holistic, I feel. It will
Yeah.
give them a view of value,
Yeah.
effort, trade
Yeah.
off,
Correct.
responsibility,
Correct.
premium, comfort,
Correct.
experience, convenience.
Correct.
So all
Correct.
this put together, it's a fantastic learning experience for the kids, Abhishek.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, it's such a wonderful thing. I mean, I could, like, definitely the next time I am planning a holiday, I will, even though my kids are just about 6 years old right now, I will definitely plan, I
Yeah,
will involve them in some way or the other, for sure, because I found this so amazing. And as you rightly put, it covers so many aspects that we just touched upon. So the
yeah,
next time, if you are planning a holiday with your children, for those who are watching, definitely involve your children in some way or the other. It gives them a lot of exposure, and as Pankaj rightly put it, teaches them a variety of aspects, which otherwise, would take a lot of time to learn, right? But a simple activity like this can just go miles in teaching them some really, really useful skills.
absolutely. And
So,
an example, Abhishek, would be,
yeah,
picking up a business class ticket versus economy class ticket, right? So
yeah,
it's obviously a wow factor for them if they travel by business class. But my
yeah,
point to them is you're paying at least 3x, right? Going to the
yeah,
same destination, 4 to 5 hours. So
yeah.
what's your choice? So in fact, I did give them an experience of business class as well, but
Okay.
they definitely are more conscious and cautious when they are spending. So it's a very
Yeah,
interesting way to get even without being, say, assertive, you're able to achieve your goals of
yeah.
financial literacy. Yeah,
Yeah, and I like the and I like that point which you made, that let's say they choose economy class over business class. So whatever they are saving is their incentive, right?
possible.
To
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
And maybe that saving can be used, say, in getting a better resort, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Trade-off, right?
it's
You're talking about a
a
trade-off.
trade off, the point that we spoke about. So
Yes.
amazing, Pankaj. I mean, I'm just loving this conversation, and I'm so glad that I'm talking to you.
And the
So
parents, they'll really enjoy
yeah,
looking at the progress of their children, right? Because they
correct,
will find
correct,
them, oh, this guy really thinks he is a matured guy, because
correct,
for example, it's otherwise they will be in their own world, but now you're involving
correct.
them. And money is one topic which actually helps the child, not only from a money sense, but also because it teaches many other things. It helps the
Yeah,
child to be more humble, right?
yeah, correct,
It helps the child to be more mindful, you can say,
correct, correct,
respect to the others, so
correct.
money actually drives a lot of these behaviors in the child as well. So I
Very
mean,
true.
I have truly enjoyed this entire journey with both my kids. Yeah.
Super, Pankaj. I mean, really, really glad to hear. And now it starts to get very interesting. So we have covered 5 to 7, we have covered 7 to 10. Children are now involved. They are observing money. They are involved in the planning
Yeah.
process, and now they are moving to that age where the real financial world starts becoming visible, right? So let's move to a very interesting age group, that is 10 to 12.
Yeah.
And this is where the conversation gets more interesting, and because
Sure.
children have the capacity to understand systems, rules, long term thinking, consequences of their action, the the terms that we explain to them about budgeting, paying taxes,
Yeah.
choices, trade offs start becoming more and more clear.
Absolutely.
So what should parents begin introducing at this stage from the real financial world, Pankaj?
Absolutely. I think, Abhishek, this is a very interesting age, where 10 to 12, where they've started reading quite a bit as well. You can have some absolutely amazing, conversations with them, some
Yeah,
meaningful conversations with them. They would have a lot of questions as well,
yeah,
because now they are exposed to a lot of concepts, right? So this
yeah,
is where you introduce them to, say, concepts like how do banks work, you know
correct.
so where do papa and mama keep the money? It's
Yeah,
in a bank, and they would have seen you operate the ATMs. So my kids used to ask, how does this ATM work? Can you just withdraw unlimited amount of money? That would be a question they would ask, right? Of course,
yeah,
those were the questions they would ask at a very early age, right? So very
mm,
interesting conversations there, and that's where you need to actually take them to a bank, right?
mm, mm,
So on a Saturday, when I had certain work, instead of me doing it online, I would just take the kid to the bank, and they are
mm,
just observing people, people coming, going to the teller machine, getting
mm,
cash, or me
mm,
conversing with the bank branch manager about, maybe some
mm,
FDs or whatever, right? And I
mm, mm,
also opened a minor account for them, and that is
mm,
something which every parent should do. And
mm.
their extra pocket money, which is in their piggy bank, will
Yeah,
move eventually to that bank account. I
mm,
would also recommend parents to start a recurring deposit, and maybe can be
okay,
500, 1,000 into their bank. See, the reason
yeah,
is they would like to see their bank balance grow, and that's a
correct,
fantastic concept, for a child.
correct, correct,
They should know that money has to grow, right? And that
correct,
concept comes from some of these exercises, right? So they will as they grow up, they will also get that habit of growing money rather than just
Yeah.
stagnating it or reducing the
Right.
balance, right?
Right.
So if they wanted to spend something, it means that they had to withdraw cash from the ATM and their balance would go down. So that thing was
Correct.
there in their mind, right? Not that they
Correct.
did not spend, but they should have that concept that yes, if you deposit recurring in your recurring account, then you can get an interest of 5 to 6%, for example,
Yes.
and that is
Yes.
that money is growing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Also introduce the concept of lockers. Why does the banker retain one key, and why do you have a key? How do you
Yes.
operate the locker? I actually took my kid to the locker, but of course the kid was not allowed to enter. But
Yes.
we were able to give the concept of he did see the locker rooms, right? So
Yes.
that's also a very interesting concept. The
Yes.
second important concept is insurance. Now, this is an
Yeah.
extremely confusing term for the kids because you pay a premium, but you do not receive any service or you do not get anything back. Right. So the question
Absolutely.
is, why do we pay insurance? So the entire
Yes.
concept of say life insurance or a car insurance, if something happens to your car, there is some organization or an institution which pays you for that. So what is a third party insurance?
Yes.
So those concepts at the age of 10 and 12 can be digested very well by the kids, and the kind of
Yes.
exposure that the Gen Z's and the Gen Alphas have, they are very fast in picking this up. In fact, a lot of times, especially my second kid, he was the one who would tell me, hey, this is something which is new, this is something which I read, right? So
Wow.
that becomes a very interesting conversation. So insurance concept can be introduced now. Investment and asset creation, they
Yes.
ask me questions, say, why do we buy a house? We already have one, why are you buying the other investment houses? Then I have to
Yes.
explain there is a capital gain that happens, or there can be a passive income, a rental income that comes in. So that concept again of creation of assets and why it is important from a long term perspective is also very important.
Very true.
Typically during this phase of life, parents also think of buying a house, for example, right?
Correct.
I would highly recommend you all to involve your kids in buying in that entire process of buying, right?
Got
Let
it.
them also be a part of identifying properties. You can take
Yeah.
them to why certain properties are valued higher than the others, because they would be closer to a railway station. There were
Yeah.
there's a premium for certain properties, the luxury element, there's a parking,
Yes.
so on and so forth. So they should understand the elements that go into the value of that house or
Yeah.
any other property, right? So that's again very
True.
important. Again, the concept of loans, it might be the home loans or the car loans. Why does a car loan have higher interest than a home loan? So all
Yeah.
these concepts you should start talking, right?
Very
Again,
true.
ethics in money and business, maybe you can start introducing how important it is to be honest while
Yeah.
earning money and spending money as well. Giving back and philanthropy, very important at this age.
Yeah. Very
Concept
true.
of charity, you have to why do we give donations, for example, right? So
Yeah.
all that is very important at this age. Again, pink slips and bankruptcy, okay, this
Yeah.
concept, a lot of parents don't want to talk about, but the reality is, and if you look at the kind of what things are going around, you
Yeah.
should give them what is a pink slip. You might know
Yeah.
your parents or a parent might lose a job because of certain factors, and how
Yeah.
what impact does that have on the household, right?
Yeah.
So well, you may still have the job, but it's important to educate the child that yes, in case, and this is something which has happened in say US, for example,
Yeah.
the suddenly income has stopped, so it is impacting the mortgages, it is impacting
Yes.
their capacity to consume, their to spend. So
Yes.
all that has to be explained to the child, because at that age the child is very sensitive, very empathetic as well. So,
Yes.
and this is just a perfect age. It might be a difficult conversation, but
Yeah.
it's important that you do that. The other thing, again, as I mentioned, opening a bank account, very important. You should take the child and introduce to the world of
Yeah.
banking. So yeah, this is
Yeah.
one exercise I would highly recommend at this age.
Yeah. Another point, sorry, before that, uh, again, very well put, and very, very incredibly useful points, very relevant, especially the points of insurance, uh, investments, and asset creation. The point that you made about the house, ethics and philosophy. I
Philanthropy.
think a lot of problems. I truly believe that a lot of problems in this country, uh, with respect to these two topics, can get solved if they are introduced at this stage of a child's career.
Sure.
So, yeah, and yeah, the point that you made about bankruptcy and pink slips, yes, absolutely, very, very relevant these days, considering how volatile the current times are,
Yeah.
and the importance of letting children know that your parents have to work hard, your parents have to go to office, and if you are not going to cooperate with them in this whole, you're an important cog in the wheel of their professional career as well. And
Sure.
if you are not going to cooperate with them, right, there are certain consequences which we all have to bear as a family.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I think it's very important. And so you have a very interesting reward mechanism, Pankaj.
Right.
So let's just take us through that.
Yes, so this is something which I introduced very early to my kids, and we call it as reward for behavior, good behavior and achievements, right? Now,
Hmm.
it's something which is very motivating for the child as well, because if there is an achievement or good behavior, they do get recognized for that, right? And
Yeah.
that actually pushes them to do better because there is recognition, right? And see,
Right.
rewards, recognitions, even in the corporate world, how motivating they can be, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I did very early to my kids was, I just googled, say, gold medal, medals, so gold, silver,
Okay.
bronze.
Okay.
I put them in a PowerPoint. I took printouts, right?
Yeah.
And colored printouts, and then I
Yeah.
cut them, and they became medals, right?
Yeah.
And whenever there would be say a good behavior, for example, a major achievement, for example, an
Yeah.
academic achievement or a sport achievement or some goals achieved which are really
Yeah.
big annual goals, they would get a gold medal, and behind that medal I would write the reason and the date, right?
Okay.
So they would collect these medals. So for
Okay.
example, just extending, say, spending, say, half an hour, 45 minutes with me washing the car, that would give them a silver medal, for example, right?
Okay. Okay.
Or helping mama do the dishes would be another silver medal, right? Or
Okay.
completing homework on time, consecutive 5 days, would give them a bronze medal, right? And
Got it.
every medal had a price tag. So gold would be
Okay.
150 rupees, silver would be 100, and bronze would be 50, right?
Okay.
And they would
Okay.
they would collect all these, and they could encash it whenever they want, right?
Okay.
So it would be kind of it's as good as cash for them, right? So whenever they
Yeah.
wanted to buy something, they would come and trade it with me, right?
Okay.
So this help. Of course, there was a situation where they would demand, these. "Hey, I did this, I want a medal," right? So that
Yeah.
behavior, of course, does, it becomes more competitive, especially if you've
Yeah.
got siblings, right? So if there are two kids, then one kid gets the other one also, then wants the other one. There's
Yeah.
competition. So
Yeah.
you have to be a bit careful handling that situation. But this
Yeah.
absolutely helped us to get that kind of work done from kids as well. So
Yeah.
a lot of parents say, hey, wo kuch bhi nahi karta, aise baitha rehta hai, and
Correct.
all the time he's on the phone, right? So some of these things, right, are actually motivating the kids to earn their own, you can say, money, whatever it is at this stage.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is something which I did very effectively for both my kids, and they still talk about it, and some of them are still, they still have those. So it becomes, and see, again, it's a way to bring kids closer to you as well.
Very
At
true.
the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is an age where children can drift away. They can
Absolutely.
there's so many distractions now. It's
Yeah.
very easy to lose touch, right? And
Yeah.
again, parents are also very busy during that particular,
Yeah.
their age as well. They have aging parents, they have their own health issues, they have got kids, they have got work pressure. So
Yeah.
this is a good way to, engage with kids as well. You also feel good about it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fantastic, Pankaj. Uh, I will always remember taking kids to a bank to see how a
Yep.
banking system actually works, involving children in holiday planning,
Yep.
uh, just having a simple
Car game.
conversation with them
The
in a
car
car.
game.
The
Yeah.
car game, yes, the car game. And this point that you made, very, very relevant and beautifully put across, Pankaj. So that now brings us very naturally to adolescence, where money habits start becoming a part of identity and independence. And
Well
we
said.
enter a very lovely age group, right? The 13 to 16 age group, where if the efforts have been put in earlier, you'll actually see the seeds growing, right? The plant growing. And this is that age group where, say 2 years down the line, a person or a child becomes comes of legal age, right? For a lot of things. And if the foundation is laid right at this age, it can actually, it acts as a springboard for the rest of your life.
Sure.
So, but at the same time, teenagers are also influenced by, digital spending,
Correct.
peers, constant exposure to consumption. So, what are the most important money lessons for this age group, Pankaj, if we want them to become really confident and responsible? So,
Sure.
what would you suggest?
Sure. So, Abhishek, at this age, your teaching methodology has to change, right? It's no
Got it.
longer, say, instructions, no longer a kind of, say, lesson, right? It won't
Yeah.
be kind of a formal lesson, right? So you have to involve them in a very different level in terms of, the intellect that is required
Hmm.
to convey, right? So
Okay.
here is
Okay.
where you need to be a bit cautious. You cannot, you cannot use the same ways of working, because it's very cliched for them, and for them, they don't have a lot of patience, right? So
Okay.
you have to really introduce certain concepts subtly, right? So, for
Yep.
example,
Got it.
it's very important that you talk to them about property, inheritance, long term planning. You might have ancestral property, right? So it's
Mhm.
important that you tell them, that yes, this is a kind of wealth that, our ancestors have passed on from one generation to another. Some may
Mhm.
not have. You can say, hey, that particular family is now in a great financial position because of, the ancestral property, which probably we were not so great at. So that's the major
Mm,
difference.
mm,
It's not just
mhm,
one generation, it's actually coming from many different generations. So it's important
mm,
that you
mm,
introduce that concept, right?
mm, mm,
Secondly, with the kind of frauds that we see, especially from the cyber, say, safety and, say, financial privacy, you need to talk to them about this. Of course, they also know
yeah,
about it, but you need to slowly start pushing these things as well, because
Mm-hmm.
they are also now exposed to all these because they are using digital banking. That's the other one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, start introducing the concepts of business, right? So the best way which I thought and my kids absolutely enjoyed is Shark Tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my son is so hooked up to that show that
Okay.
he in fact, after just listening to those founders for 2 to 3 minutes, he will say yes, they should invest or they should not invest. He also talks
Mm-hmm.
about valuations, what would be a good value for this business, what stake should sharks take. So he's actually predicting all that, right? But it's important to bring that concept of business, sole proprietorship, and then
Yeah.
partnership, stocks,
Yeah.
including the
Yeah.
stock markets, bring that concept of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
introduce you can talk about the positives of entrepreneurship and also the challenges that an entrepreneur might face.
Yeah.
Because even if, say, you are a salaried class, for example, you
Yeah.
need to introduce that concept of entrepreneurship, because
Yeah.
if you don't, then you are actually denying that child of exploring another area, which
Yeah.
probably would take the child to a very different level, right? So
Yeah.
let them make a choice whether they want to, whether they enjoy being an entrepreneur or not, right? For
Yeah.
example, when I saw my parents, my dad was a government employee, right? We worked in an
Okay.
insurance company. So for
Okay.
us, thinking in that generation, they did not talk about entrepreneurship, right? So
Got it.
you are now in a good position financially. If you are well off, and you can start introducing the concept. It's not that you have to
Yeah.
complete your medical engineering or
Yeah.
your education and then take up a job. So that's
Yeah.
that's a very typical approach. But talk to them about that. The other thing which we, being in Japan, we had the advantage was a child can start officially taking up a part-time job at the age of 15, 16 itself, right?
Okay.
So, and they get minimum wages. So it's like 1,200 yen per hour, right? Say around
Okay.
600, 700 rupees per hour is what they can get.
Yeah.
So if they work for, say, 4 hours, they end up getting a pretty decent amount, to spend and save, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
in India, it's not really formal, but I have
Yeah.
seen a lot of Gen Z, kids really thinking of earning their own money. They have the digital
Yeah.
way of earning money. They are into online tutoring, for example. There are so many things
Yeah.
that they have also started exploring, which probably at
Yeah.
in our generation, it was very difficult, and also there was the social taboo that, hey, they're from a well-to-do family and he's
Yeah.
working in a cafe, for example. That was not taken
Correct.
very well, by our
Correct.
generation.
Correct.
But
Correct.
I'm very happy to have my daughter work in a Japanese cafe, and
Yeah.
in that process she's able to learn the formal Japanese language as well. So there are a lot of
Very nice.
advantages, plus she
Yeah.
gets paid for that, right? So earning your own money through hustles, very important. In fact, for this generation, that's a great learning to earn their own money. They can also
Yeah.
they understand the concept of value when they own their own money.
Yeah.
Then ethics in business, again, take
Yeah.
it to the next level. Talk about how important it is to earn honestly, spend wisely, and invest smartly.
Yeah.
That's very. And then, of course, they will also, through their academic curriculum, they will learn about global money concepts. They will understand about mixed economies. They'll understand about the welfare state. They would understand about different economies, how they are doing and why they are doing so well or not doing so well, the
Yeah.
currency. But this is where you as a parent should have that conversation with the kids. So the car game comes here again, right?
Yeah.
So
Correct.
talk about, okay, why is the rupee under stress? How is that war impacting the economies? Why
Yeah.
is Singapore also such a developed country also
Yeah.
talking about certain measures which probably they never talked about earlier, right? Because of the
Yeah.
oil crisis. So as parents, if you start conversing with them, they will also be interested, they will spend more time with you as well. And again, look for opportunities to converse with your kids at this age, because this is a very critical age where they try to be away from parents, they want to avoid. And
Correct.
some of these interesting conversations, one, it also, you can become a role model to them in terms
Yeah.
of, my dad knows a lot, my mom knows a lot.
Mm.
It's a good, so we are, no, we cannot obviously be Google or Chat GPTs for them.
Correct.
But in fact, you also learn quite a lot when they start
Exactly.
conversing with you. So probably that is something which I have done, and I would definitely do for my second kid, from 13 to 16.
Yeah. Got it. Superb. I want to talk about financial privacy a little bit. I think it's very important in today's day and age where everything has become digital, and considering uh, data is no longer, it's spread across everywhere, right? So, Pankaj, just three pointers on three financial privacy habits that every teenager should build in,
Hmm.
if you have to share.
No, I think s- a lot of it is related to the overall cybersecurity itself, right?
Yep.
So that they might have an Instagram account. Some of them, 16, 17, 18, they can have. They might
Yep.
have some of the other subscriptions as well. So they know
Mm.
the concept of being secured, from a cyber perspective, right? And
Mm.
how they can be exposed to a lot of risks, right? So
Yep.
similar kind of risks are, and it's now it's very much that information is available, right? For example, you just you're just watching news, and then you would see that, hey, there were senior citizens who were cheated because of an
Yeah.
online fraud. So
Yeah.
make sure that you keep talking about it. And again, of course, grandparents, the best way to for you to bring this up is, let your children talk to grandparents about financial security, right?
Oh
so,
yeah.
so that
Amazing.
is
Yeah.
what my daughter talks to my mother about. Hey, you have a bank, your transactions are bank, you have the GPay, in
Yeah.
India. So how safe you have to be, and she gives examples of how an OTP comes in, but that OTP is not to receive cash, but you are actually paying it, right? So my daughter actually is explaining. So I would educate my mother through my daughter. So that's a good way to have that kind of family conversation. The child is also getting some bonding with the grandmother, with the grandparent. So it's
Yeah.
a kind of I think money is a topic which can bring families together. This is something which
Very
I
true.
which I have observed, and I have absolutely enjoyed this entire journey, I should say.
Very true. And I think I would just want to add to that that the faster we imbibe this thought,
Yeah,
uh, the better it is. So
absolutely.
super, Pankaj. And I think this is that age, the 13 to 16 age, where uh, you know parents have to stop, or rather protect children from, stop trying to protect children from money and start preparing them to handle it slowly and steadily, like how you have done with your children, right? And the whole goal is confidence, and and self control, and just no judgment, basically.
Sure.
So it's very important. So amazing, Pankaj. It's been a amazing conversation so far. I've really really enjoyed it, and I want to put you in a spot right now, and let's
Okay.
let's do a quick rapid fire.
Okay.
Short
I'm ready.
answers,
Yeah.
short answers, instinctive responses, and the goal here is to leave parents with some memorable takeaways. Are you ready?
Yeah. Let me give it a try. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So, Pankaj, let's begin. One money habit every 5-year-old can start learning.
Needs versus wants.
Fantastic. One money mistake parents make without realizing it.
Giving gifts without associating them with effort.
Okay, giving gifts without associating them with effort. Superb. Pocket money. Yes or no?
Yes, but it should be fixed plus a variable. Variable is for good behavior and achievement.
Okay. Corporate के जैसे. Correct. Superb. Savings jar or a piggy bank or a bank account. Where should parents start?
5 to 11, 12 piggy jar, because
Okay.
they should see money in hand, and they should see the,
Yeah.
the piggy jar growing, and after that they you can move it to the bank. Yeah.
One word you want every child to associate with money?
Value.
Interesting. If a parent has to do one thing after this episode, what will that be?
Buy this book.
Good one, good one. And since we are talking about the book, what problem does your book solve, Pankaj, in one line?
So it's actually an introduction. I'll say it's a structured approach to financial literacy.
Okay, structured approach to financial literacy. Yes, very well put. Fantastic. Superb. Wonderful, Pankaj.
Pleasure.
I'm sure parents will take a lot of, will have a lot of memorable takeaways from here.
100%.
And before I come to my final close, I would love to hear one last thought from you. Uh, if there is that one parent who's thinking right now as he or she is watching this conversation, that I wish I had done this earlier, what would be your advice to them?
From, talking from parents' perspective. Okay.
Yeah,
See, I think this is a topic where you probably would have started late, right? And there would be certain element of damage that would have happened, right? But you can always bounce back, right? You can
yeah,
always bounce back, right? So
true.
even if your child is now 15, 16, and you have not started, uh, follow the same sequence, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it won't be as impactful as, because there's been, like it would be if you had started when they were 5, but
Yeah.
at least you are making an effort to begin somewhere. It's not late.
Very yes. So very well said. Uh, and to everyone who's watching, I think it's a very relevant point that it's okay. Let bygones be bygones, but let's start from today.
Correct.
And one can easily bounce back. And as Pankaj has very rightly put, I really like that line. This is one topic that can help you as a family come closer. We don't realize it, but if we start taking micro steps towards it, I think it will definitely go a long way, not just in transforming this generation of our respective families, but can also set a base for this topic for future generations. So, so I just want to end. I mean, most of us did not grow up learning about money in a thoughtful way. We learned through confusion, we learned through mistakes. Most of us learned late. But today we have a choice. Or we can keep leaving this to chance, or we can teach it by design. So here is my call to action for all of you. Let's not wait for the perfect age. Let's not wait for the perfect moment. Let's not assume that our children are too young to start talking about money. और लेट्स नॉट अज्यूम दैट यार स्कूल कवर कर लेगा या कॉलेज में पढ़ लेंगे, अभी बात करने की जरूरत नहीं है.
Yeah.
Let's start tonight. Sit with your child for 10 minutes today and ask your child one simple question. If you have 100 rupees with you, what will you do with it? And then let's do something most adults don't do enough. Listen. Let's not rush to correct the child. Let's not turn it into a lecture. Let's not, reprimand the child for what he or she is saying. Let's just listen to how our child thinks. Because in that one answer, you may discover how your child sees value, patience, desire, generosity, and choice. And depending on how your child thinks, take one small action this week. Plan a mini budget together. If you're planning a holiday, you know what is to be done. Pankaj has already told you. If you're just planning to go on a car next time, right? If you're just planning to go on a drive, you know what is to be done. Or if you're planning to access your bank account next time, don't go through net banking. Just walk a few steps to your nearest branch and take your child along with you. And set that one tiny goal. Because the point here is not perfection, it is participation. Let's not give our children money. Let's give them money sense. Because money will be earned, lost, earned, the cycle goes on. But money sense, once built, will always stay for life. And I truly believe that's what Inspired Circle stands for. Stay curious, learn from people around you, turn insights into action. If you really liked what Pankaj said, pass it on to someone so that it can also help someone else. And if this conversation gave you some useful ideas, don't let it end here. Try it out with your child. Reflect on it, share it with another parent, and you can keep that domino effect going on. Because when you teach a child about money, you are not just shaping one habit, you are shaping values, you are shaping trade-offs, you are shaping confidence, you are shaping future choices, and we are just shaping another generation and truly contributing to transforming this generation. Pankaj, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Uh, it
Thank you
was
so much.
an amazing conversation. I simply loved it.
Likewise.
I felt that I was on a car journey with you, Pankaj, for the for some time, and I have personally learned so much. And definitely, I'm sure that viewers who are watching this, it will really, they will find it really relevant, practical, usable. And thank you for the clarity that you got in, for the simplicity, and love the intent behind what you are building, because I think this work really matters what you're doing. It will quietly shape a child's future. And thank you so much, Pankaj.
Pleasure. Thank
And
you.
to everyone who's listening, thank you for being a part of Inspired Circles. If this episode helped you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with another parent who genuinely would benefit from it. Stay curious, keep learning, take action, keep sharing, and keep inspiring. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you.